Hey everyone, this is First Warn Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Brad Pan. Just wanted to do a quick update on the potential wintry storm we have for Wednesday and kind of tell you what I think is going to happen, but more importantly, what we don't really know or even I know at this point. I'm not going to get caught up in a bunch of model mumbo jumbo because the models are all over the place. In a case like this where you have a very rare potential for a late November snowstorm, the models tend to do a very poor job. Doesn't mean they're not useful, but they're guidance. They're not a specific forecast. So I'm going to focus on the GFS model, but I'm going to blend all the models together. I'm just using this model to kind of illustrate what's going on. And I'll be honest with you, there's a lot of uncertainty in this because there's so many moving pieces. The more parts you have to the puzzle, the more prone to error you're going to be in, especially a 2 or 3 day forecast. And again, we're talking about Wednesday, the travel day before Thanksgiving. The first thing you notice here, I'm going to show you on the map here, is a piece of energy up here over Western Canada. That's the northern branch piece of energy. We've got a southern branch piece of energy down here in Texas. And I'm going to loop this forward, and this is the 500 millibar chart here. You're looking at the vorticity and the heights, and you're going to notice a couple things. You can see these two distinct pieces of energy trying to come together. Here's the one coming down into eastern Montana and the western Dakotas. Now again, this could be all over the place based on whatever model you look at, but you get the idea. There's two pieces of energy, and in this case, when you have two pieces of energy, we're looking for them to phase together to make a big storm. So two pieces of energy coming together to make a big storm. That is really hard to forecast because it's two moving targets, and trying to time out where that happens is very difficult. The one thing that you always worry about is if they do come together in the right position, you can get a big winter storm, and that is certainly the possibility. But right now, there are a lot more things working against that, especially for the Carolinas, than for that. And as you go out into the future, we'll stop here. This is essentially Tuesday night at 7 p.m. You can see here's our one piece of energy. It's almost like a clipper system. And then here's our southern stream energy. This is a pretty deep trough that's going to get strengthened by that little short wave, we call it, to the north. And watch as these things unfold. They're trying to come together here by Wednesday morning, excuse me. This is Wednesday morning now at 7 a.m. You've got piece of energy here, piece of energy down here. Now, if this lags back to the west, this is likely going to be a cold rain for the Piedmont. But watch what happens as we go into the future here. I'm going to back this up. I kind of jumped ahead too quickly there. As we go into the future, you're going to notice by Wednesday afternoon, your two pieces of energy are right there. And I'm going to zoom in closer. One coming back through Missouri and Illinois, and then our other piece of energy. And they're starting to phase. But this isn't going to happen on the GFS, at least, until the system is just to our northeast. And then they kind of merge together, and you can see like the northern branch kind of taking over almost. But what's happening is these are merging together and becoming our big storm as we go into Thanksgiving morning. So what does this mean for the Carolinas? Well, we'll go back to what we think as far as potential precipitation type right now. We'll turn off the 500 millibar chart, and we'll put on precipitation type. And you can see green is red, obviously blue is snow. And if you see orange or red, that's some kind of mixture. So we'll go out to Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, and notice here's our northern branch system back here. Here's the southern branch, and it's all rain for the Piedmont, east of the mountains. As we go out into the future, because this energy back here actually has the cold air, you're not seeing a lot of snow being put out by the GFS here. And as you go into late on Wednesday into Wednesday night, and then into early Thursday, you can see it's mostly rain east of the mountains. And to me, this makes the most sense climatologically because this is what you would typically see this time of year. The one thing I worry about is if this system up here catches up to this quicker, then you're talking about the potential for maybe more snow east of the mountains. Right now, that doesn't look likely. Now, a couple other things I'm looking at are some of the SREF stuff. And this SREF, if you don't know what this is like the short range ensemble forecast. It's taking various runs of the GFS and kind of putting them together. So you see that there's 21 different versions of this. There's one run way up here at 6 inches of snow, two of them way down barely anything, but the mean or the average is about 0.8 of an inch. And so when you look at the probabilistic forecast, a chance of 1 inch of snow, you look at Wednesday morning for the Carolinas, this is mainly a mountain event. If we go into Wednesday afternoon, you start to see some snow maybe creeping down into the Piedmont. Again, this green right here, by the way, is only a 20% chance of snow, and up here is 30% chance, the dark green, and we'll go into early on Thursday. So right now, you're looking east of the mountains, 20 to 30% chance probability of seeing 1 inch of snow. In reality, I think the surest bet is we are going to see snow right in here with possible accumulations, and mainly in the higher elevations. Here, I think it's a 20% chance we see something in those areas. I'm just not sold on it yet. My bigger concern for everybody traveling is if you're going this way to the north, and you could see if you go up towards Washington, Baltimore, and then eventually up towards Philly, New York, and eventually maybe west of Boston, Hartford. This to me is where the real issue is. And if I'm more certain about any forecast, is I'm certain we're going to see some kind of wintry weather up in here more so than down here. Because as you saw from that GFS model, it looked like things were going to come together here, which the other models are hinting more at that and starting to shift the track back to the west. The other thing that's a big concern as far as model data is the GFS. Look at the spread in the models. The low pressure system based on the GFS runs are all over the place. You've got some way off here off the Delmarva Peninsula, another one off the Georgia coast, and you can see the kind of mean is down here, but there's a secondary mean up in here. And to me, that just tells me there is a lot of uncertainty in the model. So as of right now, Sunday night, the taping of this video, I think it's going to be a cold rain east of the mountains with a 10 to 20% chance of some wet snowflakes mixing it. Now, if I live north of Interstate 40 in North Carolina, I think that chance is maybe 30–40% chance of wet flakes. But the mountains for sure are going to see snow, and maybe some very, very heavy snow. So that would be my concern as of tonight. The mountains north of Interstate 40 and anybody north up into the mid-Atlantic heading up into the DC area, that threat is probably 40 to 50% right now. I think the overnight model runs will be key, and then tomorrow morning we'll probably have a lot more to tell you. But if you're traveling north or into the direction I just mentioned, into Virginia, the mountains, or even up into the capital district of DC, I would go ahead and start planning for appropriate action for a winter storm, because I think that potential is there. Of course, we'll have you covered online, on Facebook, on Twitter, and starting tomorrow, it should be a long run up to the holiday. If anything changes, I'll let you know first on Facebook and Twitter. But this is what I think as of tonight, based on my personal opinion, experience, and what I'm seeing in the models tonight, which is always subject to change. I'll see you then, and hope you have a great Sunday night.